Next Door Neighbors is made possible by the support of the Nissan Foundation.
I came to the U.S. when I was 17, and I then met my daughter's father. I was very young and naive, and he was older. When we're young and you don't have someone telling you what's good or bad, you make some wrong decisions sometimes. And he said that he was separated. It was not true. I just got mad. I just decided, okay, you know what, I'm leaving. I find out that I was pregnant, and so I went to El Salvador, and my son was born there, and that leads to the next problem.
She was now a single mother of two with very few options, but desperate situations were nothing new to the teenager. Throughout Brendali's young life, desperation had been the only constant.
When I was a little girl, I lived in a village in El Salvador. It was poor, very poor. I just remember when my dad and my mom were fighting and they split. After that, I don't remember seeing my mom again. And I then stayed with my grandmother, and she had 13 kids, so I think that's why she kind of treated me differently. She was kind of mean. I was about 8 when it started. At night, we were in bed sleeping already, and we heard someone knocking on the door. That was at my grandmother's house, and that was the guerrillas coming for my dad, and he knew that he'd done something bad, so he hid. When my grandma opened the door, I just remember, them putting a gun on her forehead, and we were just lucky that, they didn't kill us or did anything else to us. And so because they couldn't find my dad, they went and grabbed my uncle. And the next morning, I remember going to my aunt's house because there was a lot of people there outside. And I went to see what was the crowd doing there, and there was my uncle on the floor with 30 shots on the back.
Marked for death, Brendali's father narrowly escaped to Belize with his young daughter. Over the next several years, they never really had a place to call home. Constantly on the move, Brendali only managed to get a 6th grade education before her failed attempt to begin a new life in California. 5 years after that attempt, the young mother again realized the futility of her situation.
Seeing my kids with no shoes, with no clothing, no food, and if they get sick, okay, so what can I give them if I stay in this situation? Education. They're not gonna have an education. If I stay there with making almost nothing. It broke my heart seeing them the way we were, so poor. I couldn't make money because I had no education, for one, and no one to help me, really. I said I have to go back to the States because I have to make sure that my kids are gonna be okay. I was 22 years old when I came back the second time to the States and left my son and my daughter in Belize. And it took me 7.5 years to see my son again. So that was very, very hard for me.
Returning to California, Brendali found a job at a dry cleaner's, working 6, sometimes 7 days a week. She had only one goal in mind: reuniting her family.
I would call them every week just to make sure they know I was still here, for them, and working and sending the money, paying everything for them, and that I would bring them back as soon as I have the opportunity again. But yeah, it was hard for them and myself.
Due to financial setbacks and bureaucratic red tape, Brendali's oldest son would turn 15 before she could afford to bring him to California, but it was worth the wait.
That was very emotional because finally we got to be together, and that's how it should have been. But we had to sacrifice ourselves in order to reach that moment right there. And now we're very close. I am very proud of them. Each one of them are very special. Growing up the way they grew up, they were patient with me, even though I was not giving them all the attention I needed to give them, but they understood that I was trying my best to really provide for other stuff, but I feel bad that I couldn't spend more time with them because of work and everything else, but they're good kids. They understand, and I'm proud of them.
With her family reunited, Brendali shifted focus to attaining a GED and opening a business in the food service industry. And after a chance visit to Tennessee, she decided to relocate to Nashville.
The people here are very nice. I've been to other states, and this is one of the states where, people are so laid back. And I like the back country because I grew up like that. So it reminds me back home. And there's a lot of opportunities here too. It's a good place to live.
She also found much needed help starting her business in Casa Azafran's commercial kitchen.
I moved here in Nashville to start a food truck called Churro Queens. The health departments required a kitchen, to have a kitchen, a commercial kitchen to go to and bring the food truck there and do, cook our food and prep everything. So I was looking all over Nashville, and someone told me about Conexión America at Mesa Comal, and that's where I ended up. I went to talk to the manager there, kitchen manager, and I ended up, clicking with her, and we started doing some paperwork, and that's where I ended up. It was a really good thing. I felt that was meant to be. I was meant to be there, because they helped me a lot. I felt like we all work as a team in that kitchen.
Despite the support of Casa Azafran, Churro Queens eventually closed. Brendali now works with the Nashville catering business.
Even though I experienced a lot of loss and disappointment, and even with my own business, but I didn't let that bring me down. Life is too short. I can start over. I'm not going to stay in that situation. It's never too late to keep going and pursue what you want to do. And don't give up.
Next Door Neighbors is made possible by the support of the Nissan Foundation.